These walls can talk. Open your mind and listen.
Trailing down these hollow halls, can you hear me? Staring down these storied walls, can you see me?
Well, hello. Hello to everybody out there. Hopefully there was actually audio with that. We had to kind of re-import that on. But do I have sun coming in over there, or is that my lamp? That's just my light. Okay, we're going to turn that off. For now. Just for now. We seem to have an issue with light these days in the background. How you doing, Tyler? Okay, so tonight this is another impromptu. It's felt like maybe I should be doing a few more of these on a regular basis. So, you know what, I'm going to kind of update what's going on with the team and everything else. First off, it was an amazing weekend. I hope everybody had a chance to enjoy their weekend. I know, look, I'm wearing my campfire shirt my wife made. I was up at the trailer this weekend. Oh, good, Jeff. Thank you. I was kind of wasting time until you showed up. So we went to the trailer this weekend, Bancroft, and had a great time. You know, as most of you, or at least that know my team know, I've been kind of suffering some mental health problems. They kind of subsided for the most part this weekend, so it was finally nice to be able to just enjoy it. And we had a little luncheonette up there with all the other new people at the tent, the new tent and trailer campground in Bancroft. So it was a good weekend for us. And then we came geocaching home. I don't know if anybody else are geocachers, but we're geocachers too. Kind of a bunch of gates. Ran across this really cool old church. I'm going to see if I can get property permission. And then I came home and put $70 worth of gas into my car. So, yuck. Anyway, so what I wanted to speak to tonight really, kind of quick. It'll be like last week, right? My upcoming projects that we're working on, which is, and also what I really want to do is talk about integrity, expectation, and ownership of evidence. I'm seeing a lot of examples of evidence out there like, hey, look, this is your evidence, it's your choice. That's why it's evidence. You're not calling it proof. Hopefully you're not going to the client and saying, oh, look at this is proof. But, you know, we've got to make sure that we stay respectable, because what we do is a really highly viewed upon thing. Like we're kind of like a very, very fringe. First off, any of you that's talking, can you let me know what my audio is like? I've actually turned my levels down so that I'm not barking out at you anymore. Or, I don't know, I'm kind of playing with that right now, and you can tell me if I'm okay. So going to an analog thing. I've kind of I've made some investments in some pretty old shit. So some good ones. You want to talk about? Sorry if I'm getting up here. Look at that. You have a look at this. Light condensing off that screen is terrible. This is a 1954 General Electric radio. It's tube fed, so there's like television tubes in this thing. Sounds like shit when you turn it on. I gotta play with it. I gotta take the tubes out, clean them, or whatever I gotta do. But it sounds terrible. But I'm playing with the whole white noise aspect, right? So you get the whole white noise thing. The reason why I'm doing this, because hey, you know what? It worked for so many years. You know, like Harry Price was doing it on a ticker tape machine. Hans Holzer was doing it with white noise. And you know, I kind of thought like we've all decided these days that everything new is what works, but we don't know it, right? So I'm just playing with analog technology. Like what? I went to one of those kitschy garage sale stores. You see that? That's from 1972. That's a year younger than me. Oh, it's a 46-year-old television. You know, the kind with the screen still goes all fuzzy? Now, why am I going to do this? Because I'm going to set it up on my dining room table and I'm going to do white noise experiments myself. You know what? I've got my team working on things like working on experimentations of ESP, message sending. Why? These aren't things saying that we're all psychic and that we can do messages, but we're looking at why is it possible? That's what we do, right? That's what all of you should be doing, is not just going, oh, look, there is, hey, Ron, there is a ghost here. There is a ghost here. You have a vortex of ghosts, which I personally like to backslap every single person I hear say that. We need to be going, you know what, like, to be honest, fringe-wise, we're a researcher, right? Now the people that are non-believers look at us like, wow, you're a bunch of idiots. Look what you believe. Total skeptics, right? You've heard that. And then the people from the science community who we think we're on par with, like we're doing things no, we're not doing things scientifically. None of us use the scientific method, not properly. You know, we can maybe get close to it. You know, maybe we can do things. But the closest thing we're going to be able to do with things is to replicate experimentation. You know, a specific experiment. Why are we doing it? How are we doing it? We've done it 45 times. We've gotten this result. That's how partially the scientific method works, right? None of us are, I don't think any of us are educated enough for that. There's a few teams I know that are, you know, and really they use data more than they use event. You know, we tend to do things based on the experience that we've had, right? And sometimes what we believe to capture evidence. Like we believe that audio gets captured here, video gets captured here, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why it is we see that. So also what else I got? A really great buy today. I thought it was really high price. It was 20 bucks. I was actually really angry at the lady who sold it to me. Okay, so this right here, maybe you guys recognize these type of things. Okay, a audio cassette recorder, right? Now, that audio cassette recorder, which I bought for 20 bucks today in Peterborough, is still on sale. The model still looks like that. Brand new ones look like that. That one's from 1968 or something. But they're identical. They haven't changed. That actually, 5 sets of headphones can be connected into that, 2 microphones, and controls audio levels. It's actually, right, there you go, from school. So it was educational and industrial. No problem. They're on Amazon, $4 for a dozen. But like, yeah, that's like what reporters use and all kinds of stuff. So I actually field tested a few of them when I was in this shop and had a really good sound. So I'm going to work with a little bit of analog stuff just for fun. You know what? And just to see why. You know, there's been chatter out there about taking unwrapped analog tapes, like cassette tapes, what we would call cassettes, and that spirit would imprint their voices on it. I don't know. So I think one of the things we need to discuss is the fact of expectancy. So remember, the scientific community thinks we're nuts and the regular cynical society thinks we're nuts. So we're right crammed in between being almost lunatic and mildly religious, along with completely trying to be scientific. What we're trying to be is we're trying to be about 8 different kinds of people as paranormal researchers. That's really what makes us fringe investigators. So we need to be as responsible as we possibly can and come up with as many. I think we're nuts too. Frankly and truthfully, Ron, the way it goes with me is this. I do a lot of one-on-one talks. You guys know that. And when people talk about proof with me and whatever, I generally tend to use, you know, you guys use scientific methods? We do not. I am not a scientist. I am burning my hands though. I just put a tea bag from my tea into the garbage and now I'm on fire. We are really, I like to use the term pragmatic. You know what, we use kind of like evidence that we get, we try to summate and put together based on our experience. We try to couple that up with experiences we have while we investigate. Hopefully, if we get the opportunity to investigate multiple times at the same place, you know, I've been really focusing on that over the last couple of years, then you might get the same style of evidence. It's kind of like when we've investigated Ashmore twice now, which is a hike for us. Like it's 14 hours each way to drive there. We've gotten piano music, very defined, in the same room. You know, 2-3 years apart. That's kind of neat. The Champlain Trail Museum, we're starting to get some duplicitous evidence, right? But what we need to have is real and true expectation. Now, it went for years on analog materials like this, and all of a sudden, probably in the last 10 years, we all decided that everything has to be digital, right? And that apps are what controls the world. Look, I'm going to go ahead and throw my opinion out there. If you want to look at my phone, I guess you can't see it. Oh, you can't see it. Doesn't matter. Haha. The point isn't made. I don't have one single app on my phone. I'll make a show about that, Jeff. I hate apps. I hate them. I just detest the damn things. I've been in rooms where people have used Ghost, like I'm talking about during a serious investigation. It's like a serious, like we're investigating, and they're using fucking Ghost Radar, which, pardon my French there, I know that I might get pinned by YouTube for that, but like Ghost Radar, it shows you what the ghost looks like, or and a whole bit. Come on, guys, really? And you know, when people have evidence, lately with the Kinect, now, you know, Ron may think that I'm going to boot screw because of this, because he made me a Kinect, and I haven't got a piece of evidence yet. I've used it on, let's see, 30 investigations, a year now. I said I would do this. I don't know that Kinect works. No. Kinect works perfectly. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. The algorithms in the Kinect pick up on what it is. And what I'm trying to do with Kinect is, okay, I'm trying to come up with the best situation to use the Kinect where it will not come back with false positives. Okay, so I've come to the realization that you can't be in the picture. Nobody can be in the picture, not even a cat. It needs to be a neutral background. What it has to be is in an isolated situation. Every single time I see somebody standing there, first off, with their near door frame, I've created a door hanger. You see this thing up there waddling away, or down here they hold the hand of a ghost. It could be the edge of a garbage can that's creating it, because this sensors is swinging back and forth. It's going, oh shit, there's a kid there, and it's standing next to the other player, right? Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. Like drapes can make it go off, tables can make it go off. But why is it? And you watch, and I challenge you, find me a real piece of evidence with this. I mean it. I don't want you to tell me you've seen it. I want to see it. Where the actual item, person, first off, isn't this big or 12 feet tall, walks across the screen, walks towards, like this. Don't just give me something that's standing next to you or sitting next to you. It always seems to be connected to you, right? So I call bunkus on all that stuff. I'm sorry. There are a lot of teams out there, and even teams I respect very much, that have it. But the problem with that is that it's too easy to recreate. And we have to have the attitude, at least I know my team does, that if it can be, then it is. Like if we're listening to evidence and it's like, could that be so-and-so's voice? Then we throw it out. Because what you want to have as evidence is, like, I can't figure this out for the life of me. And we've replicated this test, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, what you want to do is your best job at omitting, like Sherlock Holmes, right? Holmesing. Right. So that being said, all of a sudden Kinect is big, apps are big. I don't really care so much about the whole digital versus analog audio, but I'm going to test that. I caught some decent stuff on my audio. Pictures and video. Well, you know what? I've been doing this now for over 20 years, and I've caught one piece of video evidence that probably could still be disputed. Um, Pictures, man, I've got like over 3,000 pictures on my website. None of them. I guess what really comes right down into it is now one thing I want to break this down into is that's ownership and expectation. We have expectation. Expectation that this ghosts speak into EVP. And they come out of this portal in the ground. Okay, so I want you to think about this now. In the world right now of the living, we have, I don't know, 200 countries, 300 cultures, 300 languages. So what makes you think that a ghost, something that is passed on to the next level, has any less diversity? Is it possible that a ghost conversation, when it's talking to you, that's 3 hours long in their language, is in our language and sounds like a fart or sounds like a ping, or maybe they're the size of an amoeba, or maybe they don't communicate, maybe they're not there. So like what we have to do is have realistic expectation as to what evidence is, frankly. How do we be so bold as to think we caught it? Now, don't get me wrong. Have I caught stuff on audio that I can't explain? Yes. Has things happened during an investigation I cannot explain? Yes. But now I want to look at things as how many different dimensional beings can there be then? Like, is that like a spirit that's been dead for 100 years? Maybe it's matured, you know, and it can do that. Or is that a spirit that's been dead for 5 years and still in touch with the living, right? Well, we don't know. What a great thing to research, right? But we don't know. Like is it like the movie Ghost, where it gains enough spirit strength to be able to go, you know, oof, now I can throw something, whereas otherwise it puts its hand through it. Like, you know, Hollywood could be right. I have no idea. Thanks, Sandy. So, you know, really, whether we're talking about expectation of evidence, really comes right down to that now. Who are we to say what evidence is going to be? You know, and now we also watch TV shows where they talk about it. You know, you get to watch Zach Baggins go be ape shit and talk about spirits entering the home that he has. And every single time he investigates, it's like a big war going on, and all his guys go screaming and hollering around responsibly. Yet we look at that for inspiration. Look, I'll tell you what, I belong to a television network family. I don't look to them for inspiration. Okay, I belong to the CHAPS family. I belong to the CHAPS family. It's a network of investigators, peer reviewers, that was inspired by. I don't watch any shows. I like, well, I'm not. That's not true. I do like Lockdown because I think Nick Groff actually seems sincere, but honestly, his last season was absolute shite. You know, like with everybody in their freaking wonder boxes and anything that sits there and makes an echoey noise and all that crap. I mean, don't get me wrong. Is it cool? Sure. I mean, if I'm sitting in the middle of a prison at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd love to have some device that goes and makes their voice echo. But is it research? No. It's play. So it is what it is. You know, it's the same as when electricians not asking you about EMF. Well, how do you know that EMF is a spirit? I don't. How do you know? I don't know. The best answer I could give them is when the little lights go up and down and there's really nothing in the room that would make them do that, I just gives me a reason to ask another question. But I would never, ever, ever in my life, and have never based a case on EMF. Just because I'm not an electrical engineer, right? I'm not an electrician. I'm not anything like that. And I think that I'm getting further and further away from devices that are made specifically for what we do too. Like X-Tech has got an excellent EMF. Trifield has got an excellent EMF, but yet K2 and Mel are made for what we do. Built. So is that got something to do with it? Is it designed basically around the parameters to catch what we do? I don't know. But that's why I've got to play with everything. Like, you'll see, I got all kinds of devices. I'm not against them. Sometimes I get really angry at them. I hate Boo Bear. I want to kick that freaking thing across a football field. But it does a job. It's basically talking when I'm not in there. Will it pay off? Possibly. One time it did at the Champlain. So who the hell knows, right? I mean, it's just something. So the next thing you really got to worry about then too is your ownership. I've seen my own team being really guilty of this as well, obviously, because no, he's not cute, Sandy. He's annoying. Where we go through evidence, right? And Sandy and I'll fight about it. Generally, we've got 2 or 3 people that do the evidence review on our team, and they'll find something. And Jesus, if it's going to get an opportunity to argue that point, remember something first off. If it can be, it is. So what you're trying to do is do your best to discredit the evidence, not do your best to prove the evidence. You're supposed to basically be going, damn it, I can't figure this out. But you'll notice when anybody owns it, I've seen people that I really, really respect, dude. And yeah. And you know what? They find a piece of evidence, like they hear, while we were talking, holy crap, what was that? That had to be proof of something. And they'll argue it. And they'll argue that crap, man. Yeah, we have absolutely all done that. Because when you find a piece of evidence, right? When you find a piece of evidence, man, you want it to be real. We all want it to be real. Do you know if truth be what it is, you should be able to investigate for 15 years and maybe get 10 cases where you're like, that's compelling. And maybe 1 case or 2 where you're like, that's why I do this. Like, I do what I do because I've had experiences in my life, but I got to prove. But man, I'll tell you, I've probably just about hit the 500 case mark, and I still think I've got under 20 that I could be like, eh. And I'm going back constantly looking at EVPs that we have have all agreed to, and went, no, that's not good. That sucks. It's okay to re-audit your work, but realistically, you have to own your work. And unfortunately, when you're doing evidence review, a lot of the times you do own your work, and therefore that's why you need peer review. Peer review is super important. That's why you share it with the teams and share it with your members, and let them tear it to shreds. I know the other day, I think it was Jeff that sent me the thing with the little kid next to him. Maybe. No. Let me see something walk in front. Because when it happens to you, and you don't get that normally, man, you jump on that shit. You want desperately to make that right. But what I want is desperately to have evidence in front of me that goes, I and others like me can't for the life of us figure that out. Then you present it as evidence. I've never used the word proof because we don't know, right? Could something have changed it? Realized recently on an investigation where the clients were very loud. You must do your due diligence. We didn't. We had an investigation that happened that got out of hand. They did the best they could with it, but we had to throw out all the evidence. That's frustrating. So this is all about responsibility and integrity. It's about integrity to tell people when they're not doing right. You don't have to be a jackass about it. You know what I mean? There are teams out there that all want to do lots of investigations with me, and I'm like, no. Not to be polite, I'm not going to slam them up and down. I have argued with them outright, but I'm not going to investigate with somebody I do not believe belongs in this field. I promote very much the people that I do like. And You know what? You can ask my team. I'm just as hard on my own team member. I've expelled a number of them in the last little while. Do you know what? And truthfully, you've seen him on this show here. My nephew, Damon. I've emailed him a half dozen times in the last 6 months saying I don't think you have the time for this. So I'm willing to kick my own nephew off the team, right? Now he's managed to alter his way back through, but it is what it is. Do you know what? Integrity is incredibly important as a team because what you need to have is the people that are going to really work. Recently, I've removed people off my team that haven't even noticed that I've removed them off my team. So that'll tell you how much attention they're paying to certain things. Um, what I don't want is Ashmore Estates mug. What I don't want is a bunch of members of my team that basically, you've all got them, by the way. I don't know how big your guys' teams are. You can type that in and how many active members. I think we've got 14 on CHAPS between the two offices. But you'll always end up with like about 5 people that actually do, and then the rest of them show up to an investigation and then go. Sometimes that happens. Now, that's not always like, well, I'll investigate with you, Jeff. It's not always about that. Like I give some people crap when I don't necessarily have to. I mean, I'm a control freak. I don't know if anybody could see that. I would be, and I am a control freak. I like 2 or 3 people to touch our audio, besides myself. Sandy, Carolyn, Shan, generally goes through the audio on our team. What? I mean, what? Well, Carolyn and Dad Gibbs on the screen, by the way, is Sandy. I don't even know what the hell I'm getting in shit for, but anyway, I might have said something wrong. I just think that it's important, but I mean, you will have members of your team that will show up for an investigation, and that's it. So what you got to do is make sure to hold them accountable and make them do something. Sometimes you'll ask everybody on the team to participate in something, and then then you sit back and go, isn't it obvious? I find with CHAPS right now, I've got a pretty good mix. And right now in the Oshawa area, in the GTA, I'm looking probably for one guest. I did have somebody who was interested, but they don't use Facebook. And unfortunately, Facebook is our portal. And I'm not making separate emails. So, whoever it is has got to be on Facebook. Yeah, so that's about it. It was just by blithering on. I'm doing an analog project largely because we really, really, really can't tell what evidence comes through which way. And only way to do it is to replicate it and keep doing it. Coming up, we've got a home investigation in Pembroke. I'm not on that one. And then, Jesus, I think we're actually open. And then we've got Picton coming up, and we've got I got a whole bunch of 101s that I'm doing. I got the Somber Museum I'm doing. I got the Champlain Trail Museum I'm doing. A couple of 101s. I think I got a library gig somewhere. So yeah, things are good. It's good, Tyler, that you guys all do that. I have my volume on max. I can't hear you well. Okay, so everybody else could. I'm going to turn up Paranormal Heart. I'm going to turn up my volume on this end, okay? Right to its flat line. How is that now? Why don't you tell me how it is now? Okay. It could be because I'm sitting back here. I'm really quite lazy. When I get into my office, I get lazy. So maybe I need to be closer to here. Or possibly I need to talk up here. I don't know. It hasn't changed. Well, I take a look at your levels at your end then. That's not being, I'm just being on a technical side of things. I'm just going to put my levels back to where I don't have red lines happening. Okay, good. Work now. So anyway, all in all, good short little podcast. I think I'm probably going to leave my podcasts now, unless I have evidence. I'm all with Ron, talking about making a show with my best evidence. I've always got to look to Sandy for that because she gets to go through all the files and find it. We archive our stuff. Remember, we do say 60 to 70 investigations a year, right? So we archive it on the discs. Matter of fact, I think what Sandy and I see the other day, our edited videos and evidence right now is on about 45 CD-ROMs for the last 15 years now. So we got quite a little data bank going on. But I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that we're getting really, really particular now, again, as we're going to be moving more into the ESP testing, onto the actual urban legends. It's so hard to do the urban legend stuff, though, because nobody can actually tell you a damn thing. Nobody could say anything. And like honestly, I was thinking about Salem the other day, right? Salem's Lot, not Salem Cemetery, Salem's Lot in Pickering. Well, yeah, I'm old though. Salem's Lot wouldn't exist anymore. Okay, so that would mean 150 DVDs. Oh, I'm sorry. Salem's Lot wouldn't be there anymore. Salem's Lot would be Holmes. Salem Cemetery is there. I'm all about seeing what the claims are. I just don't really put much faith in it. I'd like to go do a Ghost Road one night. My guys up north, I'd like to send them up to Buck Hill one night. I'm all about going somewhere else. My health is starting to get a little bit better. Got to be honest with you. It hasn't been possible for me to sit idle for hours at a time. You know what I mean? But it's my iron levels are starting to come up, and the red cells are starting to come up now. So I'm a little better. I could go on for hours about the side effects that have been happening over the last 6 months. You know, from me passing out in a restaurant in New York State. You know, no, not cool, man. But I haven't been able to investigate a lot. My teams have been. You got that right. My teams have been very strong in backing me up. So, yeah, it's the whole Salem's Lot thing. I don't know. Yeah, and Buck Hill, I've went to Buck Hill, I've done Buck Hill. The only problem with me is the story behind Buck Hill just legitimately sounds like the story I've heard from about 9 different locations. It's almost every single urban legend, you know, the old Angel Inn, everything, it all just seems so quaint. You know, it's always romantic. Do you realize, like, so the 3 things that, now I'm going to go on a tangent now because of urban legends. The 3 things that CHAPS is investigating the most is theaters, hospitals, and prisons. And you realize that hospitals I'm going to pick on. Every single one of them has got a nurse that was raped by a doctor and a nurse that committed suicide. Every single one of them has an angry maintenance man. And every single one of them has a... What's the PC way to say it nowadays? Geez, I don't know. Somebody with limited capacity who's there that does stuff. You know, that walks. There's always a tall man. Like if you go to Rolling Hills or anywhere, there's always a tall man walking around. So I'm challenging a lot of this stuff, and that's where I kind of like. If it's your first investigation, the first time you investigate, is that the proper way to say it now, Tyler? Okay. I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody. Like honestly, I am. As anybody knows on my team, first thing I'll say to you is if you're offended by anything, get the fuck off my team. Because, you know, we work late into the night, and honestly, I am not PC. I support nobody's agenda. I'm a very kind person, but you know what? If you're going to get uber sensitive on me, then just get away from me. Anyway, so they all seem to have the same stories. So all these Ghost Road, Buck Hill, whatever, all have something kind of similar. So I want to look into them. even if it's just to do it. You know what? Because it's research, and that's what we do. We research. So with that, I would like to bid you all adieu. I'm going to spend the rest of my night relaxing. I'm back to work tomorrow. As many of you know, I'm working Markham, and the drive to Markham sucks. And then next weekend, I'll be back at the trailer, and we'll be talking probably the same story. I might do it next Sunday. Okay? So